This is Dance Studio 411, where we answer your real-life questions about your toughest studio life predicaments. Parent problems, teacher turnover, student challenges, policy dilemmas, and so much more. Let's talk about what's keeping you awake at night and what you can do about it. Here are your hosts, Suzanne Blake Gerety and Jill Tirone.
Welcome, everyone, to this episode of our Dance Studio 411 podcast. And today, Jill and I are talking about, a very popular subject for us studio owners and dance teachers, which is how to find great dance teachers, whether you need a sub, whether you need a permanent placement, a summer intensive teacher, someone out on maternity leave, someone broke their foot. I mean, the list goes on and on as to when a studio is going to need a replacement dance teacher. So I'm really excited about this topic today, Jill.
I am too. This is a subject that we love to talk about because we see it every single day. There's not probably a week that goes by that we don't have a question in our member group asking about finding a replacement teacher. Somebody's hurt, injured, somebody left the studio. It happens all the time. So you want to be prepared and have a little bit of an arsenal. You want to know where to go, when to go, how to go, where you're looking for these teachers all the time, nearly 12 months of the year, right, Suzanne?
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. In my life right out of college, I actually was trained to be a recruiter I thought I was going to go work in human resources. But I circled back into the family business here at the dance studio. And I have been on the task of and been responsible for sourcing dance teachers for the last, it feels like 15 plus years for our studio. And let me tell you, it is not if you're going to need a replacement dance teacher, it is when you're going to need a replacement dance teacher.
It is when, and you do such an amazing job at finding teachers. You've had to do it quickly on the fly, like not just one, but multiple teachers within weeks. And You've done it successfully. Yes. And those people have stayed with you then for years.
Let me just start out by saying I have had to find teachers in crisis modes, from people kind of losing it and walking out 3 days or 5 days before our fall schedule starts, taking 20 classes off how do you fill 20 ballet classes, all the routines, people who just have had I have had to handle the most difficult teacher issues. So I have complete sympathy for everybody listening who's like, where am I going to find someone qualified to teach advanced ballet or advanced tap or acro I'm in the middle of the rural part of Nebraska and there's no dance teachers here. Yep, I'm in New Hampshire where it may or may not be super filled with dance teachers. I've had to help people create dance teachers. I mean, we're going to get creative in this podcast because let me tell you, good talent, not coming knocking at your door. You have to go find them.
Correct. And if you do have them knocking at your door, make sure you hold on to them at some point, or know how to get a hold of them if you absolutely have no room for them at the time. So these are all the things we're going to cover today. We have about 10 good tips, I think?
10, yeah, at least 10. So we're going to dive right in. So right at the beginning, though, I want to also say that great teachers can be hired or they can be trained. So what I want you guys to listen for in this podcast is the distinction between hiring just a great person who is great with kids can be trained to be a great dance teacher in certain aspects.
I love that distinction too. And you're going to talk about that and training them and possibly having how to do that with a curriculum in place. So yes, let's dive right in. What's the first one?
Yeah, the first step. So whatever you're looking for, you've got to know what you're looking for. So let's talk about the specifics. So I need a dance teacher. Okay, what kind of a dance teacher? This is about writing a great job description, Jill, right? So let's talk about being specific. The first and number one rule of finding great dancers is you've got to know what you're looking for. And so be specific, right?
Yeah, be specific for sure. And I want to just pull a very quick, I just listened to an audiobook. This is a really interesting distinction. Women versus men, when they apply for a job, men will apply when they're only about 60% qualified. Women have to be nearly 100% qualified before they will actually apply for a job. So this is a really interesting thing, Suzanne. If women have this kind of hang up or this thing where they feel like they're not qualified for something, they're not going to apply. So if you craft your job description in such a way that lets them feel very accepting and like, oh, you know what, I could probably do this. Like you mentioned, it might be somebody that's really great with kids that doesn't have a ton of dance background, but if you let them know that you can train them up to become what you need them to be, they're going to say, oh, okay, I can do that. Rather than, oh, I need a preschool teacher who has 5 years of experience, who has X, Y, and Z. You're going to probably push a few really qualified candidates away because of the wording or the language. Right. So you want to be specific, but you want to be open-ended enough that if you are looking for somebody to train up, let's say in those younger preschool areas, or the students that can have a little bit of a leeway when it comes to experience, then you're going to be spot on. You're going to get the people that you want to interview.
That's a great tip. And so to get that one more step clear, be specific in the sense that if you need and absolutely can't shift off of having this teacher teach on Thursdays, if that's like your schedule's already set and everything's been locked in and it can only be Thursdays, you could have the best candidate in the world. And if you're not able to move around for Thursdays, then that's unfortunately going to be a game changer. Or if you need someone to absolutely teach from September to May, and they're like, I can only do part of it, something, okay, then you're going to go on our sub list, that kind of stuff. But to your point, if you're kind, if you're caring, if you're open-minded, if you're coachable and you're enthusiastic, we can train you on certain things,
Absolutely. I see a lot of, going into the care realm of childcare, you'll see a lot of ads that specifically say too, must be good with big dogs.
Right.
Or able to drive. So if you need them to do something very specific and they need a specific requirement, like Thursdays, put that in there because, you won't be able to deal with somebody and bring them on. But I would love to see you have maybe a sub opportunity if somebody says, well, I can't do Thursdays, but I'm available if you do need somebody, for a sub position. So
exactly.
I think being specific is good. Also, just what about keeping those ads kind of rolling throughout the year, Suzanne?
Yeah. So we're going to talk about how long and when to look. But first, let's talk about the places. If we're putting the ads out, and we're going to put them out regularly, 2 of our favorite places that we know work, you can talk about those.
Two places that we know work is Indeed and Craigslist. Indeed is fantastic. It's a paid platform, and I think Craigslist is for jobs now as well, but it's worth it, right? So you want to pay for the post, craft your listing well, so you're not paying for something that's not going to attract the right candidates, but do that, and you're going to be getting some nice qualified people. Craigslist, you might need to filter through a little bit more than Indeed, but you're going to be doing that anyway with anybody that applies for your job position.
Exactly. And the most recent, only a few months ago when I literally had to hire 6 new dance teachers, you get these crazy applicants and of course, they're like, oh, I want to be relocated from California. No, thanks for applying. But if you're across the country, however, there might be a situation where you would relocate someone. So you never know. You kind of want to filter through those. And one of the big ways that I filter people out is I ask a very specific question at the bottom of my application. I will say something really random, like, tell me what your high school mascot was in your cover letter. Because especially if I want them to have attention to detail, or I'll say, what's the number one thing you love most about teaching dance? Like this one extra question, I really want them to have read through that application and they have to answer that question. That's how I start to weed them out. They didn't read it,
I know. I have a friend who's a teacher. She's in more of the kind of economics and accounting world for where she teaches in the high school level. And she was asking me some questions about, she knew I did a lot of hiring, a lot of reading through resumes and things like that in my past life. And I was telling her very specifically, if they don't follow the directions, they either go in the circular file or they go in the way over, like maybe if I'm desperate pile. For instance, if I asked, like you said, a very specific question, they don't answer it, I'll glance at the resume. If it's really bad, no, you're definitely not going to do this because I need somebody to follow instructions. I need somebody that's teachable and wants to be a part of this team. So I think that's a really great idea. And it doesn't hurt to get a little tricky and a little crafty because that's what you need. You need somebody that's reading and wanting to understand.
Exactly. So one of the things we always recommend is always have a good job description ready to go. And if you're like, well, I don't need a teacher right now, you're going to want to write one just in case you need a sub. And so that some of the stuff we help our dancestudioowner.com members with is having some of this pre-written scripts, having these applications, the questions to ask. We have those templates available to them, but just in listening to this, always have some sort of write-up ready to go in a file. Hopefully you don't need to use it today, but somewhere that can be specific. So
absolutely,
always have that ready to post and be looking. So let's talk about the next place where we find like actual success finding teachers. And you're great about this because you are a dance teacher yourself. Is to go out to the university programs and the alumni groups. I'm going to let you talk about that.
Absolutely. So we have an alumni group on Facebook for the University at Buffalo in our dance program, and we post and see posts all the time for works for hire, for master teachers, for subs, for long-term positions. And this is great because sometimes maybe these younger students are graduating, they're getting ready to come out in the world. Maybe they do want to relocate. Maybe they want to go from California to New Hampshire. Maybe they want to go to South Carolina. It's their dream to work out of where they've gone to school. So these groups, if you have a university near you, contact the director of the program, see how you can get involved, see if I've had people contact me and ask me to post in the group. So that's a really great place to start. Find a dance program near you at a university, contact them, even contact people across the state or the area that you're in. It doesn't have to be within a 10-mile radius, but I think it's important to really open your network that way.
Exactly. I've had success in the New England area. There's a lot of schools that focus on dance and their alumni, they're happy to let you post. So definitely have a great job description ready to go, post it in that. And one step further in Facebook groups now, what I see more, lurk around your area because sometimes there's a dance teacher or studio owner group near you that has a sub network actually already in place, or if it doesn't, you should start one where you can collaborate with other teachers. So in those groups is where I'll post that I'm looking for summer intensive teachers, local guest masterclass teachers. It's amazing the amount of responses that I've found through that process.
That's a great tip. Yeah, definitely use your network. Another thing too, your local Dance Masters chapter. They will have a nice network of people. Just get out there and be in these groups looking all the time for your subs or for those teachers and having that description ready to go.
Exactly. Now, in terms of the social network and stuff, which I think social media is, people are on there. So there's one step further where it gets sensitive. And I've even had to be in this predicament where I've had some of my currently employed dance teachers post on their Facebook profile that like an anonymous dance, anonymously for us, like a studio in blah 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 area is looking for a great tap teacher or whatever. And so that you don't necessarily, if you're trying to find someone kind of behind the scenes and you don't want your other staff maybe knowing about it, or you can even ask a colleague who isn't one of your staff members to post for you. It's not unheard of. It can work. So there's that.
Being creative for sure with your social network.
Exactly. So next up is sort of like, how do you handle hiring teachers when your current staff maybe doesn't know that you're trying to make a change? That has been an uncomfortable situation. So what I do is I go on the full-on blitz of I'm looking for subs and I'm looking for a masterclass rotation. So this goes back. No one can argue with the masterclass rotation. And I'm not talking masterclass teachers from LA and New York. I'm talking about the masterclass teacher could be from the studio across, 100 miles from here. It doesn't freak people out when you're like, I'm looking for a guest teacher. So honestly, that's how you can kickstart the conversations with people. Just make contact with someone because that person might know someone else who's also looking for a teaching job.
Great advice.
It's the networking that it's sort of like one step further. Jill, who do you know that is great at that? And they're like, oh yeah, I know so-and-so. She's looking for an extra night a week or what have you. The next part of looking for great dance teachers, which is what we kind of started out by, is either can be hired or trained, this is called starting your own teacher training program, starting an assistant teacher training program if you don't already have some sort of a mentorship program from within.
So important. This is where I really want to hone in. And if you do not have this program at your studio, you need it. And it's not hard to implement, right, Suzanne?
No, an assistant teacher training program can be completely robust and giant, or it can be start small and just get your assistants trained up on, just start somewhere. And so that you always have this sort of idea in place that we're constantly training from within. It can become part of your culture. You can teach, some studio owners get nervous that the parents think, oh, I have these teenagers helping with classes and that there's something wrong with my studio, or maybe we don't have enough qualified staff. No, actually, you position it like we train leaders. We train teachers from within because we believe in these kids. They know our culture, they know the students, and this is actually part of the dance world where you train from within. And so maybe now is the time to start thinking, oh, okay, yeah, I could really start an assisted teacher training program and build up at least the substitute possibility throughout.
Absolutely. And what a great gift to give these young students as they grow up to learn and train. These are skills that will take them through their entire career, their entire life, that they're learning. They're learning how to command a crowd. They're learning how to use their skills and teach other people. It's a wonderful opportunity. I've been in studios where I have seen the teachers not teach the assistants. They've taught the class and the assistants are just kind of there to maybe demonstrate. And it's been frustrating. I want to say, oh, go show them why you do this. Tell them why you would stop the class and ask them to do this again, and how to work a foot, or how to make sure that they're using their bodies properly in certain positions. I think it's a really great gift. And if you don't have this, start it small and build it up, because even if you are looking for a sub, or you're looking for somebody to grow with your studio's culture, you're going to have to let them go eventually,
right.
But you're going to make them better human beings to be able to go have those skills in the real world, so to speak.
Yeah, which actually, that's a great segue into one other area that we don't talk about all the time, but I want to mention is your alumni network. So Absolutely. If you're blessed to have dancers that grew up through your ranks, and I know so many of you have strong relationships with your alumni, but it's easier than ever to stay in touch with them. It's easier than ever to put the word out and say they will be able to put you in touch with the right dancer. Maybe they went on to a degree program, or they still stay in touch with their friends who did. But go reach into that alumni network. They're probably going to be able to help.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think the last area I want to talk about when it comes to, again, if you're in the habit of just always looking for good talent, post it. A lot of studio owners keep a habit of posting on their website that we're always looking for qualified applicants. So, just constantly keep the door open.
Well, that's a good point. Don't forget to put it on your website. Yes. One of our members, I worked with her. We got a page on her website specifically looking for teachers. The page is a great opportunity. It's up year round, and there's a form to fill out and get the information into the studio owner. So awesome. I forgot we didn't necessarily write that in our notes, but what a good opportunity. Put it on your website. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Which actually the part that I see kind of the big trend, and we talked about it in our trends podcast, which is have your studio teach to a curriculum and not just rely on the one person. So how are you going to find teachers? One aspect is to use curriculum-based and syllabus that you can have your people learn to teach into. So even if it's not a full robust thing, but maybe it's an acro certification, or it's a ballet method, there's all sorts of strength and stretch programs, there's preschool curriculum, there's just there's a lot, right, Jill? I mean, you can learn from a lot of programs.
Absolutely. And if you have things standardized and you're using a preschool program that's specific to your studio, or you have this acro certification and you're following this program, this will give you the opportunity to rotate people in and out. So if somebody does become ill, or there's an injury, or there's pregnancies, whatever it may be, you will be able to move somebody else in, and the kids and the students and the parents, nobody misses a beat. It's easier on you, it's easier on your faculty, and it's certainly easy on the students, which is what we want. So if you're a curriculum-based studio and you're not just kind of at the mercy of your teachers and what they're teaching, have the curriculum in place, have the certifications in place, and then it becomes very easy and stress-free for you when there is something that comes up, or somebody's leaving or injured. So I like that. That tip that we have is to make sure that you're looking at your studio throughout the year as a whole and building that curriculum for years to come.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I want to leave everyone with, is that we've had to create, because of the fact that our teachers come and teachers go, and God bless some of them who have left. It's been great reasons. Other times it's been unfortunate circumstances that left us in a really big pinch. what I would say to lessen the blow of you from a business standpoint, and also to worry about what will the parents think, is that to build the culture of students do best from learning from a variety of perspectives, multiple teaching styles. They do best when they can be adaptive to learning from subs. This is part of life. It's not going to be the same teacher every class all the way through. And that if you can build that culture of, we're a studio of always hiring new talent, keeping our eyes open for possibilities, networking, staying as best as we can in a positive network of dance teachers, then it'll start to hopefully roll the ball forward, that you're just in this habit of not looking for dance teachers when you're in a crisis, but always looking for dance teachers because you're a great business owner and you want to know who's hot and who do I need to bring in here and who do I need to learn from and who do I even need to just get on my schedule for a masterclass.
I know it really is. It would make you very professional and cutting edge, and it looks very good when people and your faculty even understands it as well. It's a great selling point for your studio for sure.
Yeah. Good. Well, so, we always want you to feel empowered, and we hope that some of our tips were helpful. I'm sure there's many more that you have used if you're listening in on this and want to share, hit us up with some comments on what works for you guys.
We would love to hear all of the great ways that you are finding teachers, subs, master teachers, all of those good things. We definitely want some comments for sure.
Yeah. How can they get in touch with us? How do our podcast listeners get in touch with us?
That's a great thing. You can email us at hello@dancestudioowner.com. And you can always reach out to us through Facebook as well. Our Facebook page is Dance Studio Owner.
Cool. I like it. Well, we appreciate your time and talent, and we hope that this helps you keep your passion for dance alive as you grow and, of course, run your business and staff it well. And till next time, thanks, everyone.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Dance Studio 411. Visit us online at dancestudio411.com for more great resources and to submit a question for a future episode. Our number one goal is to help you build a successful dance studio business and keep your passion for dance alive.